Now you're doing that.
Wait, we had a deal.
Welcome back to the mock trade deadline 2026, a tradition unlike any other. And joining me to go through the entire league, we've split up all 30 teams among the four of us. We're going to try to make as realistic a trades as possible with our own personal spins on it, of course, and try to give you an idea of what's going to happen at the trade deadline, what should happen at the trade deadline. We are joined by Kevin Pelton of ESPN, Danny Leroux of The Athletic, and this podcast, and Dan Feldman of Dunked On as well. Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Great. How are
Great.
you?
Thanks for having us.
Too slow.
I stayed muted.
All right, well, we have a lot to discuss here. We've broken up the league. Let's just get right into it. We'll just go through our teams, give a little preamble on what exactly we are trying to accomplish for these groups. I will begin, and I generally have some of the selling teams. We usually decide that that's how it works out best, to have one person be the selling teams, the other ones be the buyers, but we will have some exceptions, so that to be sure. And one of the big sellers is the Brooklyn Nets. Our goal is to move Michael Porter Jr. for at least a good first, but we'll probably take the best offer if it meets that. Some of the other guys on our roster are available. We'd like to improve our draft pick this year. Nick Claxton for a real package, something that involved a first round pick. Day'Ron Sharpe, Zaire Williams are available. Haywood Highsmith, if would move him basically for anything. And if Cam Thomas can find a team that wants to take him and give up something, we would be happy to move him as well. He can block a trade. Perhaps even most importantly, we have $15 million in cap room that we can either use to take on a bunch of money as we do the above, or in a separate transaction for more of the assets that we so crave. Danny?
The Los Angeles Lakers are looking to maintain our 2026 and potentially 2027 flexibility. However, we are willing to cut into that for a player who makes sense for us now and moving forward. That could be a center, it could be a 3-and-D player. And we don't have a lot of picks that we can trade, but for the right player, we would absolutely do it. Hey, Giannis.
Dan?
The Pistons are looking to be patient amid this breakout season. We do have the $14 million trade exception from Dennis Schroeder, and we're about $19 million below the tax. So we will be opportunistic with that, either looking to upgrade our rotation or maybe even taking bad salary to get extra picks to help us in the future. We do need to end up with an open roster spot for Dennis Jenkins.
KP?
The Boston Celtics are hoping to reduce their luxury tax bill without hurting our title odds now that we're near the top of the East and you've seen Jason Tatum working out on the court. We view ourselves as the favorites to win the East, so we're not going to be moving Anfernee Simons strictly for the goal of reducing or getting out of the luxury tax.
The Charlotte Hornets might actually try to get better. Better? Is that what it says in the outline there? They're going to try to get better? We're looking for a long-term answer in the front court if we can get one. We're very happy with the progress we've made so far this season as the winningest team in wins in NBA history right now. But we would also be willing to take on an unwanted, kind of lower-end power player and provide some savings to a team. We have the expiring contract of Pat Connaughton to facilitate that, as well as our full mid-level trade exception.
The Golden State Warriors are still reeling from the torn ACL for Jimmy Butler, but we are willing to listen on Jonathan Kuminga, trade him for the right offer, but we are absolutely willing to keep him into the offseason. And we're willing to discuss we're willing to tap into our, let's call them potentially post-Curry picks, but only for players who we think can be the centerpiece of the post-Curry Warriors.
The Spurs are mainly looking to be patient amid our breakout season, getting back to the playoffs. We do have about $6 million of room below the tax. We could upgrade it forward. We have a lot of picks. We have some intriguing players, maybe some of them were duplicating each other just a little bit, though we're not in a rush to move on from that guard trio. So if there's something that we can get a big-time player, we're open to it, but we're mainly looking to hold the status quo.
The Denver Nuggets are looking to get out of the luxury tax, and to that end, Hunter Tyson is very available. We'll listen on Peyton Watson, but it's going to need to be somebody good on a long-term good contract. Otherwise, we want to, keep him for what we expect to be a very long playoff run.
The Dallas Mavericks will certainly listen to offers for Anthony Davis, but we don't feel a great compunction to move him now because we don't have our draft pick next year. And some in our organization, including the man that I work for, would maybe like to see what Kyrie Irving, AD, and Cooper Flag look like. But we could get an asset and some salary relief because some in our organization, including the man that I work for, are not too interested in being right up against the second apron for a team that's probably going to be under 500 next year. So if we can get some salary relief going forward and an asset for AD, we would think about doing that. At least listen on Kyrie Irving. You have to pull us over. And same thing with Najee Marshall, who's on a great contract again, because if we get great offers that we feel like could turbocharge the Cooper Flag era, we could make a move, but we also are happy just trying to have a good team next season. And we can't take on even 1 cent of salary. We are hard against the second apron. And if we could save some money on any of these deals, that would make it much more interesting for us.
The Miami Heat are looking to maintain our 2027 spending power and ideally stay under the luxury tax this year, but we could add talent if possible. We'll note to the group that we are willing to listen on everyone, but we would need to be bowled over to move Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, or Norman Powell.
The Atlanta Hawks already made our major move with the Trae Young trade. If we were making another big move, we would have just folded that in because we can't aggregate CJ McCollum and Kispert now. And so I think we're closer to done than not, but we would like better big man depth. But it has to be somebody better than just hoping Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, which is not the worst scenario. We do have the Bogdanovich traded player exception worth more than $13 million, but we're just $7 million below the tax line and probably not crossing that this season.
The LA Clippers are hoping to create roster spots to convert our contributors on two ways, and we're also interested in seeing how we can turn Bogdanovich into someone functional for us, maybe by taking on some salary that goes into next season.
The Memphis Grizzlies are looking to start the next great era of Grizzlies basketball, and we certainly would never consider trading Jaren Jackson Jr., but if you wanted to maybe pick up the phone in a couple of minutes, we might have some ideas, but we never did this. All right, you don't have to swear you to secrecy first. We'd like to move Ja for something that just isn't totally terrible, like a first and some salary that's not awful would probably do it. And if someone wants to give us a first for one of our role players on good contracts, we would also consider that, particularly if we move one of the above.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are intending to keep their core four together unless someone makes a very strong offer for Jared Allen. We will listen on Allen, not on the other three. We are very open to moving Lonzo Ball to save Dan Gilbert some money, but we aren't going to throw in some big assets, maybe something small to make that happen. And we will quietly listen on DeAndre Hunter if anyone's interested.
The Chicago Bulls are right on track, number 9 in the East, on track to host a play-in game. We like where we're at. We don't want to change directions at all, but we would listen on Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, who are on expiring contracts. If we can get some good value ahead of them becoming free agents, we'd have to consider that.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are looking to continue adding backcourt depth. Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., they were first-round picks just a year ago, Dillingham in the lottery. So clearly we're going to value them that way in any offers we make.
The New Orleans Pelicans are planning to just sit and relax with all this great talent that's been one of the absolute worst teams in the Western Conference throughout the season, except for Yves Missi and Jordan Poole. But if you bowl us over with somebody that Troy Weaver drafted or would have drafted, we might consider moving some of our big players. But we aren't shopping them. They aren't available.
Maybe if they've ever played in the DMV at any point.
Interesting. Yeah. And we're going to see a lot of people bowled over, it sounds like here. Hopefully we will just, every team will just be laying like bowling pins, getting swept off the lane by that little bar thing that clears out all the pins by the end of this.
The New York Knicks can't really bowl anyone over with an offer that involves picks because we don't have a lot available, but we will have a discussion with Giannis Antetokounmpo, maybe with the Bucks, about his potential. We would love to dump Gerson Yabusele if reasonably possible, and we will quietly listen on Karl-Anthony Towns.
Bucks here. We're going to continue building around Giannis Antetokounmpo just like we always have. We mainly want to wait to trade a pick until the offseason. We have one available. Next offseason, we'll be able to trade 3. But we would trade the pick if we could get a star who's worth 3 picks now for a single pick. We'd even consider it if we get a star worth 2 picks. But if it's a star worth 1 pick, we're going to wait and try and get that 3-pick star. We're about $13 million below the tax line. We'd like to use that wiggle room to upgrade our roster to better position us for the summer by taking on salary that could be used for matching in a trade this summer, salary that could help us recoup some picks. We'll figure out salary that helps us get better players than we have. But with limited matching salary in trades, it is a little tricky to upgrade our payroll right now, but we're going to try.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are, despite their recent couple of home losses, still sitting pretty and, not really in a hurry to do anything with Ousmane Dieng actually showing some flashes lately. So we're probably mostly going to passively aggressively show off our championship rings.
The Sacramento Kings have to face the difficult reality that the glorious era of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis has potentially reached its end. We'd move Zach LaVine just for expiring salary. We'd trade Sabonis for something, but we don't want any bad contracts back. And if you want DeRozan, you can have him for expiring money basically as well. We also are looking for a first for Keon Ellis, but we can't take back any money.
The Houston Rockets are very happy with our team and our season so far. There is a chance that the postseason will push us to make a different kind of move. So we're hard capped at the first apron. We're only a little bit below it. And we are not interested in Tari Eason. This is even a bolus away. Like if you're going to make a strong offer, you could do it, but otherwise we are not trading Tari Eason.
Bowl them away. Okay. Wow. That's like you're bowled so hard that you're just not completely off the lane.
The pin is disintegrated. The pin is not down. It is disintegrated.
Okay.
The Orlando Magic are going to give our team a little bit more time to gel. We're not typically an in-season trade team. We're about $6 million over the tax. We would like to get out Tyus Jones, Jonathan Isaac, Jet Howard. Those are all candidates to be moved for lesser salary or out completely.
The Philadelphia 76ers are hoping to get out of the luxury tax without hurting our team. To that end, could involve Kelly Oubre Jr., Andre Drummond, players we're potentially looking to move for lower salaries.
The Utah Jazz need to preserve their top 8 protected pick this year. We also would like to find a home for Yusuf Nurkic and take on money that expires, or you're going to have to give us a lot to take on money beyond next offseason because we want to use cap space. We also have $10.5 million in cap room or a John Collins TPE that is about $18 million if we wanted to take on some money in addition to taking on money in a Nurkic trade. And we just actually want to get more firsts just in general through all of those mechanisms.
The Indiana Pacers are trying to line things up for the 26-27 season, which potentially involves moving one of our non-core players whose contract runs beyond that far, or we'll listen on Benedict Mathurin if somebody's interested, but we are intending to keep him through restricted free agency.
The Phoenix Suns are enjoying our surprising run. We'll be tempted to make a bigger move as we always are, but maybe we've turned over a new leaf. We're barely over the tax line as we might as well dodge it as much as our owner is willing to pay.
The Portland Trailblazers are going to listen on Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday, but our number one objective is to strengthen our team ahead of what looks like a return to the postseason via the play-in this year, and we might be looking to add some shooting with Matisse Thybulle's expiring contract.
The Washington Wizards, it says preserve top 8 protected pick this year. Again, did I just paste that in from Utah wrong? Oh no, they also have a top 8 protected pick they have to preserve this year. They are also quite willing to take on salary for assets, but they need to be more interesting than seconds. Maybe it's a player, if not necessarily a first, because we have a billion seconds already, 14 to 18 seconds over the next 7 years. We have up to $30 million below the tax, and we have TPEs and the MLE traded player exception to take on money. But we are only going to take on money beyond this summer if we get paid big time, because again, we need to augment this group around Trae Young as we hit the gas. And KP, I think the last one is you, or is it Danny?
It's not me.
It is me, yes.
Okay.
The Toronto Raptors are looking to upgrade for this playoff run. We, are probably going to explore ways to turn RJ Barrett into someone who maybe fits a little bit better with our core group. And, we would listen if someone wants to make an offer for Jakob Poeltl.
Keep listening. Okay. Let's get rolling here then. And I think obviously the place that we need to begin is with the situation at Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. I will take on the role of Alex Saratsas, Giannis's agent, at least for now. A lot of pressure on me, actually. And Milwaukee, how are you feeling here? I don't want to request a trade. Obviously, I'm 10 toes down, 2 feet, maybe even up to my ankles here in Milwaukee. But if you offer me that extension in October, I certainly wouldn't decide until October, but I don't know what my decision would be. And, Milwaukee, would you be willing to, maybe trade? It'd be your decision though. I just want to give you all the facts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're very excited to move forward with you at this trade deadline in the summer, and then hopefully sign an extension in October. But we're okay with not knowing. That's no problem. We understand you have the right to wait, and we believe in your commitment to this franchise that you've shown over and over and over again. And if that changes, you can let us know.
Well, I think obviously my desire to prove to the fans of Milwaukee that I did everything that I could here and that I would never leave. As soon as I'm back from this calf injury, I'm going to be out there playing 43 minutes a game, facilitating our push towards the 10 seed. I assume that's what you would like me to do as well, right?
Thankfully, our goals coincide this at the trade deadline, at least, right? I think the way we're approaching the team is we don't have room to take a step back. We don't have tradable players who are going to hurt us losing them on the court. We're looking to upgrade mainly for next year, but the players we'd get by taking on salary, they're going to be better this year too. And if it turns out in a few weeks, see where our roster lands, if it's better for your health, we could talk about what makes sense. If it makes sense for you to take it a little bit more easy and we get a higher
I don't do that.
Back.
No. I would never do that. I'm going to race back again. But just for you, obviously I'm a competitor. I have to be out there. But just for your standpoint, it might be better for you if you were able to move me now, and then you would have a higher draft pick. So maybe you should at least pick up the phone when some of these other teams call, and we could see if there's something that would be amenable. Obviously, of course, I'm going to exert complete control over this process that I have no desire to initiate. But in terms of where I actually want to go and what the deal would be. But maybe you should at least pick up the phone. Is anyone going to call? Is anyone calling you guys right now?
Yeah, we get calls all the time, and we tell them you're not available because we want to keep you. We're 100%.
Why don't you pick up the phone right now? I think the Knicks are on the phone actually. Why don't you pick that up?
Hello.
Knicks here. We are interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo if he is willing to sign an extension with us eventually, which we believe that he is. And so there are a couple of different structures that we could use, and it depends. We know that you're interested in being good in the short term, and that's great because the New York Knicks can make that happen. We were thinking about something involving Giannis for Karl-Anthony Towns, Miles McBride, the Washington's own first-round pick this year, and then we have some swaps. That is really the core. We could swap out Karl-Anthony Towns for a different player. We might need to make some other logistics work, but that is the core of our deal would be Towns, McBride, that Wizards first, and some swaps.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that. Not for Giannis. I wouldn't take that. That's not enough compensation for taking on Towns's negative value contract.
So theoretically, were we to swap Karl-Anthony Towns for one of our wings, so let's say this is just for our own purposes, for if it was OG Anunoby instead of Towns and we were able to make the money work, would that change your calculus, or is it basically you don't like what we have?
Yeah, I would take that for free, but I would not do that for Giannis.
Okay.
Well, Bucks, I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I won't sign the extension, but certainly you're not going to know until next October whether I'm actually going to take that extension or not. Is that a risk you want to take? Is there anyone else? I mean, that Knicks package sounds pretty good. Karl-Anthony Towns, All-Star, All-NBA player just last year, and some swaps going forward. That the Nets seem to really like those swaps. The Knicks don't really have any picks, so they could be pretty bad by the end of the decade. I mean, obviously, I'm an Iron Man. I'll still be there, but in case maybe that doesn't happen. But are there any other teams calling?
Miami Heat here.
Oh.
We can offer Milwaukee. We can offer you Milwaukee area player Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, and we can offer you sweeteners. 2 first-round picks and some swaps would pretty much be where we are. So that would mean you would have significant savings in the near term, but then you'd also get a player in Hero that can help you who you would actually need in a post-Giannis era.
Yeah, Giannis.
Alex Saratzis here at Miami. I mean, obviously you got to negotiate here, but maybe you should throw in Kelly Ware. He doesn't really play very well with our other client, Bam Adebayo, anyway, and so maybe you should think about it. If you have to. Obviously negotiate however you want.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ware being included would get it closer. But Giannis, you hear these junk offers for you. These are not good offers. You're worth way more than this. And again, we're confident with 3 first-round picks this summer, we can make a big splash. Teams are afraid right now. Teams are afraid to make that big trade to put in all their picks. We are not. We know this is our window with you. We share the same vision of competing. So if we're going to get a second star with 3 picks this summer, I think we'll be in great shape to add. And we have some players who've come around who can help in our system. Kevin Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins. Add on to that another year of Miles Turner getting comfortable in our system. We have the proof of concept with a player like him with Brook Lopez. I think we're going to try and compete this year to the extent we can. After you come back from the injury, we'll talk about it. But I still think we are way more positioned to do something big this summer than to take one of these terrible offers.
Warriors here, you just said 3 firsts a lot of times. I know it was in a different context, but if that's what it takes, we were originally going to do 2 in Jimmy Butler. If it took 3, we might be able to do it with something coming back to us.
Giannis here. I kind of don't really like our team that much, even if I go over there. Steph Curry, great player, but he is 38. And in the West, I'm just not sure. I'm all about winning another championship. I'm just not sure that gets us there. Also, you just basically doubled the flight time to Greece, which I'm not too interested in. So I don't think I would re-sign.
But Giannis, you're so used to playing with shooting guards, and we have a billion of them. You can just play with. They're just different shooting guards, and they're better shooting guards.
No, I can't say I'm too into it. Milwaukee, if you're just gonna trade me without my consent, I mean, that doesn't seem like a very if I'm trashing the organization out the door, that's not going to look very good for you after I've had such an amazing loyalty to, and I've always been all in Milwaukee. That sending me somewhere I don't want to go, that doesn't really seem very nice.
Don't worry, we are not trading you to the Warriors for that package.
Very good. But you might also consider, you think these aren't great packages, and you think you're going to get more in the summer? And especially, I could come back and you're going to have the 10th pick next year. That's not going to be too great for you.
We're not looking at getting more in the summer. We're looking at building around you, and we remain absolutely committed to that unless we hear from you that we shouldn't be, that you want to leave, and then we'd have to manage that. But unless we hear that, we're all in just like we think you are.
Raptors here. I know Masai Ujiri is not here anymore, but we've been planning for a Giannis trade for a long period of time. And we are a team that has all our picks available and is willing to be aggressive with them in a Giannis trade. It's going to require taking back Jakob Poeltl as part of the matching salary here. But, Giannis, is Toronto someplace that it's multicultural community that you'd be interested in coming?
I think so, but I'm just not sure how the fit with Scotty Barnes.
Oh, Buck's here. I can solve that issue.
I'm not sure how the fit with Scotty Barnes would really play out here. I don't know that I would be that interested in Toronto. I want to stay in the East or go to a Western Conference team that's already a contender. Spurs, like Victor Wembanyama, he and I have had some great battles already in our career. He can shoot. Can you make an offer, Spurs? I think you got plenty of prospects, right? Like I'm one of the best players of all time. Pair up me and Victor, and it's championship city for the next 5 years.
Yeah, Spurs here. Me, I'd be very interested. Actual Spurs, I think a little less, but I'm going to try and bridge that gap a little bit. I mean, we would do something with Stephon Castle, maybe even a pick on top of it. We would. I'd like to believe we would make the most competitive offer. I just happen to know the guy in Milwaukee who runs the Bucks doesn't want to do it. So we have not made an offer that convinces them to do it. But I'd like to believe that we would beat any offer that's acceptable.
Well, Bucks. I mean, what do I have to do to convince you that the best thing for you is to trade? Not the best thing for me. I would never request a trade, obviously, out of the only franchise I've ever known. But what do I have to do to convince you that the best thing for you would be to trade me?
Request a trade. In the offseason, maybe that math is different. That's just me speaking aloud, not to you. But right now, short of requesting a trade, we're not doing it.
Well, who are we going to get in the offseason that's going to get us back to contention? Because John Horst, you swore up and down getting Miles Turner, stretching Damian Lillard. That was going to get us back into the mix in a weekend Eastern Conference. Instead, even when I play, we're 500. And when I miss games, we're like winning 20% of our games. So, I'm getting a little bit older. I need some support. I can't be the one pushing every single night in the regular season just to get us to 500. What is our plan to actually get better? Tell me who your targets are in the offseason with these magical 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I've been focused on the trade deadline as a GM of 7 different teams, but to a certain degree, it's unknowable because it depends how the playoffs go. It depends who shakes out. But you can see some of the players who become available. Like Trae Young is a good player. He just went for nothing. Imagine what we get for 3 first-round picks. That's infinitely more than the first-round picks Trae Young, who's still a pretty good player, went for. Like, though, there will be somebody with that kind of ammo who shakes loose, who we can get, and that's to go. And Miles Turner, I don't know if we necessarily viewed him as, oh, he's going to keep us in contention right now. To me, it was more so we needed a center of his profile, and there are so few of them that we needed to get one right now to stay in championship contention at some point. There might need to be other upgrades, but the concept doesn't work without a player like him.
Any other teams willing to make an offer here for the I mean, it's probably worth even having the conversation just to set the stage for the offseason when I still won't request a trade, but maybe the Bucks will realize that it's in their best interest to trade me.
I mean, the Pistons and Hawks are interested if Giannis is interested in them.
Hawks. We that might be something there. Let's see. Maybe I could go play with AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson.
Right? Yeah. I mean, Jalen Johnson would probably be the return, and then some other filler.
No, you can't, Atlanta. You can't trade Jalen Johnson. You got to just make it about picks. I think.
I mean, it depends how much leverage, or how much pressure you're applying on the Bucks. We'd like not to, but if we do need to convince them.
Well, how about this, Bucks? I understand that we're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. If you will agree to work with me in the offseason to do what's best for you, as I see it, then I think I'm willing to just do what needs to be done in terms of not coming back, make sure I'm getting healthy. Maybe I'll just like take a hammer to my calf if the league starts to get on you about the player participation policy, so you can get a high draft pick. You got the lower of yours in the Pelicans, but that should still be pretty good. And then we can use that in a trade. And I promise I'll at least see what you can come up with your 3 first-round picks. But then if we can't really improve the roster, that you'll acknowledge the reality of what's best for you. Can you at least commit to that? And then, we can just save this till the offseason, Bucks.
Yeah, just with one clarification in that, well, I just want to reiterate first. We've come through for you over and over. We got Damian Lillard, we got Drew Holiday, we got Brook Lopez. Like, you've seen what we can do to add players around you. So I appreciate that show of faith that you're going to give us to this offseason. And by the offseason, I think we're on the same page. What's going to persuade us is you not signing the extension, right? That's going to be our moment of, okay, this is different. He signed the extension before. This is the new reality we do have to come to terms with. We can't just let you go into free agency and leave. Like, we'd get the picture at that point. But what we don't want to deal with is 3 days into free agency on July 3rd. We don't want to have this conversation, because that might not be enough time to sort everything out. And it's months before the extension decision, so we're not looking to be forced into something on July 3rd. But yeah, come later in the offseason, we will be on the same page, because there's that inflection point of the extension decision.
Before we move on from Giannis, the Lakers and Rockets would like to just log their interest potentially in Giannis. The Lakers can't do a move that the Bucks would accept now. The Rockets don't really want to right now, but we want to tell Giannis we're interested.
Okay. Yeah. Teaming up with Luka and Austin Reeves could be pretty interesting.
Teaming up with Luka could be interesting.
Well, this off season, I think, because you could just take me, right, Lakers, into cap space. So that would be, and you got 3 first-round picks. That's
3
like
first-round picks, and Austin Reeves could be something.
Well,
I heard 3 first-round picks. I did not hear 3 first-round picks in Austin Reeves.
Yeah. Well, he's a free agent anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, Grizz here. It's time to begin a new era of Grizz basketball. And certainly when we renegotiated and extended Jaren Jackson Jr., we believed he would be the centerpiece of that. We had an understanding of that things might go a little bit sideways with John Morant. But as of right now, our team is not that good. We have a bunch of picks in the future from Phoenix and Orlando. We have some good young players, Zach Edey, Cedric Howard. We are willing to, under the table, engage some ideas on Jaren Jackson Jr. So I've identified 6 teams that have assets that I would be willing to make a trade of Jaren Jackson Jr. for. I'm going to list those off, and actually we'll do them one at a time. And you can just assume that I'm going to want a lot. But you could just tell me whether you're interested at all. Houston Rockets, are you interested in Jaren Jackson Jr. making only $35 million this year?
Not right now. We want to see where this team is.
San Antonio Spurs, would you be interested in Jaren Jackson Jr. making only $35 million this season?
Yes, interested, scared off by what it sounds like the asking price.
All right, that's not a no. Detroit Pistons, would you be interested in Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Yes, interested, but scared off by what sounds like the asking price.
Boston Celtics, would you be interested in Jaren Jackson Jr.?
I think probably not.
Okay. Even knowing what you have to trade?
Knowing what we have to trade, but just the concern of a third $50 million salary in a year.
He only makes $35 million this year. Don't worry about what happens after that.
I've definitely heard that.
He only makes $35 million this year. He can fit into any team right now. Atlanta Hawks, would you be interested in Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Yes.
Okay. Golden State Warriors, would you be interested in Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Potentially, but we're not willing to go into the post-Steph picks for him.
All right, but that's okay. Well, then you're not interested in him. That's surprising because he's only 26. He'll be around. All right. Okay.
We just don't see him as the centerpiece of the post Steph Curry Warriors.
All right. Well, just to indulge people's curiosity here, I'll tell you what I had in mind for some of these teams. Houston, it basically would have been Amen Thompson and basically whatever salary flotsam they wanted to include. San Antonio, Dylan Harper, and whatever salary flotsam they wanted to include. Detroit, I was going to ask for Isaiah Stewart, Jaden Ivey, Ron Holland, and 3 firsts and a swap. Boston, Simons, Hauser, and although actually Boston just can't actually trade that much right now, so I would cross them off the list. They can't give as many picks as I thought because they have that 29 first to Portland and their 32 first is frozen. So that wouldn't have worked anyway. We can cross them out. Golden State, I was gonna offer Jaren Jackson, KCP, and Ty Jerome for Kuminga and Butler, and then basically every pick you could trade and a swap. That would have been later too. So I assume all of those sound patently ridiculous to the owners of those teams.
Yes. The Pistons are at least within spitting distance of where like we could talk about it, but you'd have to come down considerably.
Well, spitting different distance and considerably. I can't spit that far.
I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Well, I'm thinking
maybe
a good
there's
spitter.
a second spitter.
All right, Atlanta.
Make us uninterested real fast.
Ricochet and Porzingis, the lower of New Orleans and Milwaukee in 27, and a 2031 unprotected first. That's the offer. No negotiating. Just take it or leave it. Well, and you'll note that I've curated that. You know, I didn't ask for the Pucks pick this year. You know, I know that's going to be untouchable. So I've gone down to basically, you know, what I would accept. Any reduction there would be too little.
Yeah, I mean, if we weren't scared off by Jackson's salary into this extension, you know, if he were making something similar, I think we'd probably go for that higher salary. You know, we basically, you had me until that last pick. Until that last pick, I thought, you know what, maybe this is reasonable. Maybe we're going to do it. But that puts me over the edge of where that's a no.
All right. Well, this never happened. The Utah Jazz, we are not really that interested in moving Lauri Markkanen. But we do want to preserve that top 8 protected pick this year. The emergence of Keontae George makes it much more palatable to just hold on to him. But we also are, at least if someone wants to knock us off our feet rather than bowl us over, with Lauri Markkanen, we'd be willing to listen, but it's really because we think we could be a lot better next year. There's going to be some pressure from fans and ownership once this top 8 protected pick is safely in our coffers to get better next year. Hopefully we'll get another foundational piece in the draft this year. So it would really, we probably would even need to get back a player or two in addition to just draft capital. That would be exciting, so we can not take too big of a step back next year relative to where we would have been with Markkanen. So would anyone even want to make an offer in that regard?
I mean, basically all my teams are interested, but that sounds like a very high price.
And Pistons?
Yeah, interested. But we don't, you know, you're looking for players back. We're looking to, you know, add. We're not trying to break up what we're doing. Like, we think Tobias Harris is important to who we are. And, you know, by the time we reach Markkanen's salary and cobble together a few players just to get there, like, and all, you know, the draft capital you want on top of it, it's hard to do with your price so high.
Warriors here, what are you thinking about Jimmy Butler in this sort of deal? We think he actually aligns pretty well because he's not playing at all this year and he could potentially help you next year. We would be kind of more on the limited line of picks, maybe one for sure we could do, maybe two. But if that's not even close to enough, then we don't need to engage further.
No, of course it isn't.
Okay.
But
what about those picks and Brandon Pajemski? He was previously untouchable. He's maybe a little touchable now.
He's within spitting distance of being touchable at this point. I'd say. Yeah, no, that's probably not true. I mean, I think for like Detroit, we probably would be looking for Sar Thompson and Ron Holland, and maybe a first in Tobias Harris. That's something we might be. That's in the realm of what we'd be willing to consider.
I mean, Holland and a first is in the realm of what we're willing to consider, not a SAR.
All right, and KP and any of your teams?
Maybe the Raptors have some interest, but again, not at that level.
Okay. Mavs here. Anthony Davis should be back anytime. Not having surgery. Never even considered having surgery on this ligament issue in his hand, which of course is a totally normal NBA injury. You see it all the time. Guys come back for this. It's no problem at all. It's his left hand. I mean, how often does Anthony Davis even use his left hand, honestly? So, more seriously, Dallas, we realize that he's got a couple years left and we are a little bit too expensive. That's probably one of the big reasons why we're going to consider this. So if you could, a team could offer us an asset and some salary relief going into next year and also potentially for this year, we would certainly heavily consider such an offer.
Lakers here. Do you want to trade for Luka? Oh, never mind. We're good. Sorry.
That's that just shoved the knife right under our ribs here. This is supposed to be a nice, uplifting program. Clippers, you guys got any interest?
The Raptors are my team that has some interest. I mean,
okay.
Mavericks, what's your willingness to take back? Like Jakob Poeltl has to be part of this deal. So what's your willingness to take him back as part of these negotiations?
Well, you can offer a salary relief for this year, right, Toronto?
I mean, I think we could structure the trade in such a way that, ultimately results in salary relief, because we're looking at, our players coming back would be, RJ Barrett and Poeltl, and then Ochai Agbaji and Grady Dick. So if you reroute one of Agbaji or Dick, then, then you're talking about some, or both of them, then you're talking about some considerable salary relief.
Well, we'd be willing to take Poeltl if we could get Colin Murray Boyles.
No.
All right,
we're willing to do our future first, but not Colin Murray Boyles.
You said a future first? What future first?
I mean, let's start with 2026.
Start with 2020, but only one first.
We might be willing to do two firsts here, because we do acknowledge, in the context of only this call, that perhaps Jakob Poeltl's contract might not look as good as it did when we signed it as an extension last summer.
You think it looks worse?
I grant that the back injury is not a positive indicator for his long-term value.
Yeah, I thought it looked about the same.
Well, we've never had any trouble trading for a player with a propensity for injury, so shouldn't be an issue for us. Yeah, I mean, I think like Poeltl, I don't even know if a first just to take on Poeltl is enough. I mean, that's like, so he makes 19.5 this year. Looks like he's probably not going to play. 19.5 next year, and coming back from a back injury at age 31, maybe a useful player, but not a starter. And then 27.3, 29.5, and then also has $5 million guaranteed in 29.30, but can increase that by with some playing a bunch of minutes, which he realistically probably wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, especially for a group that we're still gonna be trying to win during these years. Like if we were in a pure rebuilding situation, I think it would be easier. But because don't have our pick in these years, then taking on that kind of money going forward into Cooper Flagg's prime seems a little short-sighted. Particularly because Toronto, I don't the way your organization works, I don't think you're ever going to be bad enough to where we're getting, a top 10 pick in any of these years. You only tank when you actually have your own pick.
If we did 26 and 28 first with that group of players.
And so it's Pirtle,
Abaji, Barrett, and Dick.
These aren't terrible. Can we get Jacoby Walter in the deal?
I mean,
we would actually like to keep him. I think that might be enough to do it.
We'd be willing to consider that, but let's circle back on this after we look at a couple other options on our list.
Okay. Any other suitors for Anthony Davis before we maybe get to some of these other Toronto options?
Just curious if Charlotte is interested. I know they're both your teams, Nate, but that was a team that stood out to me as a potential destination.
No, I don't. And certainly we're not willing to give up Dallas's 2027 top 2 protected pick for that purpose, which I know is the appeal to Dallas. They're really, if Derek Lively were healthy and we could also get him, then maybe that starts to become a conversation. But I don't think so. We're pretty happy with our progress here, but we're not totally convinced that this great trio of Miller, Ball, and Knipple, like it's gotten great for a month, but health-wise, defense-wise, like let's just see where this year ends up, and maybe we would be willing to consider such a move in the offseason. Also, it'd be nice if AD were actually healthy, right? Like part of our reason for doing this would be to push into the playoffs this year, and if he's going to come back in mid-March, that doesn't help us much, really.
Oh, I thought part of the reason would be to get one more high pick with him out injured, and then have him for next year.
I mean, I don't think we can. And we're not going to LaMelo, LaMelo, Miller, and Knipple are probably going to prevent us from doing that. Like all those are young guys. We're not going to just shut them down. We got to build chemistry with them. So yeah, I don't think so. Good thought though there. Yeah, Clippers. You guys interested at all? Anthony Davis?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I guess his deal goes into past 27 when the magical cap space plan could come to fruition. All right, well, Toronto, yeah, let's table this. I mean, that Pirtle contract is just, it's tough. I guess, looking at AD, his deal versus Pirtle. Yeah, so Pirtle basically makes about half what AD does in 27-28, and then is still on the books for 30 when AD is off. So it's like kind of similar situations. And I don't hear very many other offers. Maybe, though, we would just have better offers for him in the offseason if he comes back, is playing well, and it's just easier to make a deal when teams are hopefully not going to be as taxed out as well either. So, yeah, we'll talk more about it in a second, Toronto. Was there anyone else that you're really interested in, Raps? I don't know if we need to go there quite yet, but
we're very interested in Trey Murphy III.
Okay. Can you trade for like Jaden Ivey?
Pistons here, yes.
Although I don't know if Troy if that was even his pick necessarily, but okay, let's move on here. How about Ja Morant? Are there any teams interested in Ja Morant for what I was talking about? Basically, just some kind of an asset and some salary relief.
Heat here, we're potentially maybe interested, though we don't love where his contract runs until, but we'd like to actually talk about a different South Carolinian first, if that's okay, because we would be more interested in this player.
Yeah, I assume you mean Zion Williamson, and let's see. Tro Wumars here. Yeah, we're just we're picking up the phone. We might even pick up 2 phones at once to listen to offers, but it's hard to talk to 2 people at once with the 2 phones. So I think we're just
Well, the good news for you
we're
is
just
that
in listen mode here.
both phones are Pat Riley, so we're having a single conversation here. And well, just so you can think about it, what we're thinking about for the offer here for Zion Williamson as the Heat is, so we could theoretically structure. We don't know how interested you are in Tyler Hero, but we could structure it with Tyler Hero or Terry Rozier as the principal salary going back. Zion makes more than both, but we're getting close there. We'd fill the salary with players that make sense. And then we were thinking 1 first round pick could be either 2029 or 2030, first available draft. We have an issue there, but we were thinking something like that. Now, that's what we're offering. If that's not enough for Zion, then we'll probably just move on. But we wanted to know if that is in the vicinity.
No, I wouldn't say so because we've got some young rookies on the roster that we like. We don't have our pick this year. We want to show some progress. We want information of whether Williamson and whether Derek Queen could work together. And so I don't think so. I mean, I would have to be able to go to ownership and say this is an offer that we can't refuse for Zion Williamson at this point, because if he just kind of is what he has been so far, we're fine holding on to him. We don't feel like a great need to move him. And either it's going to look really good going forward with him and Queen, and we're not going to want to trade him, or he'll play really well. We'll decide still that pairing doesn't work, but then he'll have more trade value in the offseason. So I know you're not really expecting to hear this kind of rational talk for me, but that's kind of our feeling at this point on Zion.
We'll try to collect some DMV players in the interim, but
how about so John Morant Heat? It seems like whatever else you were trying to do hasn't worked out.
So the problem, it seems like, with what you were saying about John Morant is that you see him player plus contract as an asset. So meaning you want salary relief and an asset back. And for the Heat, John Morant, he runs too long. He runs into the 2027 thing. So he's making 44.9 million for that year. And we worry that unless he really finds a new life on the Heat, that we're going to have to deal with that in case one of these great players wants to take their talents to South Beach. And so we would be interested in John Morant as a rehabilitation, potentially. But if you're saying he's a positive value, you're getting something in return, then we're just not in that place. But if you get to the point where you're like, hey, we realize we don't want to be in the John Morant business, we're not even necessarily asking for a huge premium back. But if you get to that place, and that might be in the offseason, then you can come talk to us.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily that we objectively see it as he's some amazing asset and we're expecting a huge package back. It's more just that we don't really feel the need to do the deal. Like, we can find low priced rotation players. We've got some draft picks in the kitty already. And so we just think, yeah, maybe he can rehabilitate himself with us potentially. Like, he started playing well before he went down with this elbow injury. So it's really more, regardless of what his objective value is, of just why would we do it if we're just gonna. I mean, what would your package even be, Miami? Are your Rozier just to like get off the money? Essentially, is what you're thinking?
That is more in line with what we're thinking, and we for him, I don't think we would want to include Tyler Hero as of now. We still value Tyler Hero, and we wouldn't include Norm Powell. So it would be Rozier and enough to make the salary work. And I mean, Stephane Fontecchio would actually be a really good fit with you guys. But so we
he's expiring. He's 30. That doesn't really do much for us.
And so, but it would be something more in that vicinity rather than like we wouldn't put Kyle Ware in, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would do it for just like a pure expiring money. So yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do your first round pick this year, which I guess you can't even trade right now anyway. So never mind. Yeah, because it would have to be the earliest pick that you can trade
It's 2030.
outright. Yeah.
And we could do first allowable draft and open up 29, but it wouldn't be any earlier than that.
And would you be willing to do like a couple of top 4 protected swaps?
Well, so again, this is like that gives you a lot of flexibility, and we're doing this to potentially rehab a player who hasn't looked really good other than like 2 weeks in 2 years. So like that's a lot of flexibility for us to give up for a player that we're trying. This isn't getting a first round pick for Michael Porter Jr. and then trading Michael Porter Jr. for a first round pick.
Yeah. All right. I understand. I mean, it's not, there's a reason that we got to this point, and it doesn't sound particularly palatable for us. Was anybody else interested in John Morant?
Sun's here.
Mm.
Yeah, we have Jalen Green, who might be more valuable than John Morant at this point, but we would be willing to downgrade. We would be looking to trade Jalen Green. Nick Richards, we'd want included in the deal. If we can flip him somewhere for a second round pick, it can be a multi-team trade and outgoing, but we'd like you to agree to take him on if we can't. We do have it on good authority. The Hawks, depending on how things shake out, might be interested in just taking him into a trade exception just for nothing. You'd have to take on Jordan Goodwin and Nigel Hayes Davis to help us clear out those roster spots. Those are just minimum salaries, but that'd be your responsibility. And we'd like the lower of a first round pick in any of the years you have multiple.
Yeah, I don't really think that's the optics of giving up a first to move on from Ja. Now, if Jalen Green were not hurt a million times this year and playing well, obviously we could say the same thing about Ja, but Ja has also shown that he could be an all NBA player when healthy, and Jalen Green has not shown that. No, I don't think so, Phoenix.
What about
yeah.
What about if we did it without that pick, with no picks? We'd be really gritting our teeth on that. But I think, I'm just trying to cut to the chase a little bit, right? We were trying to get, if we had more time, we'd probably be looking for some second rounders, refill our coffers. But I think we would grit our teeth and do that with no picks.
How about giving us Brooks?
Our most valuable player.
Just Brooks.
Brooks? How many Brookses are in the league now?
Aaron Brooks?
Sign and trade Aaron Brooks? Yeah.
That's actually... Yeah, especially we couldn't move Jaren. That's an interesting one to think about. Now, would I rather have John Morant making basically $10 million more than Jalen Green over the next 2 years? Jalen Green is younger. Oh, man, those hamstring injuries are scaring me, though. He's out again. That's a very intriguing offer, Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, just from our standpoint, as you're thinking about it, we've achieved all this success. We've had this fun season without Jalen Green. And so we're not losing that momentum. And Jalen Green plays the same position as our franchise player in Devin Booker, which is, we can pretend that works. And we talk about how that'll be fine, but it's not ideal. And so you bring in a point guard in Ja, there's some appeal there, but obviously a lot of risk, bringing him on and potentially disrupting everything we have going. And we could just hang back and real easily have an enjoyable season. Everybody's happy with what we're doing. Nobody knows we could have gotten John Morant, right? Like, this is not... The trade is public, the non-trade is not public. And so we're taking a risk here of being labeled the same old Suns, chasing the shiny object. But we think, hey, it's just worth it a little bit to have somebody with Morant's upside and at a position that fits better with what we have going.
Wow. Peanut Gallery, what do you guys think of this one? I'm really, really torn.
I would probably do it just because I was actually just listening to you and Danny talk about this idea on the recent Dunked On before we recorded, and I think just like if it doesn't work out with Jalen Green, and you send Jalen Green home or he doesn't play, like that's not an issue in the same way that it is with John Morant. It's not national news. No one is not leading NBA today talking about Jalen Green and the Grizzlies, and I think having that would be a huge plus. I would not do this as the Suns because to me, Colin Gillespie is like really important to what they're doing. And, Morant would really change the equation dramatically.
Well,
I'm largely where KP
Right.
is here. I've said that I'd want to be out of the John Morant business if I were the Grizzlies. So I would do it as the Grizzlies. I would not do it as the Suns.
Danny, I was curious because so I had this idea before you guys mentioned it on the podcast. I was so bummed that you brought up this idea that I already had, and so I heard Danny say like, "Oh, I just want to be out of the John Morant business," and that's when I had the idea of adding the first round pick. I had this idea without the first round pick, and I immediately went to look like, "Dang it, Danny doesn't have the Suns." But Danny, I'm curious, would you have done it with the first round pick?
Oh, as the Grizzlies?
Yeah.
No, in part, Nate's great at thinking about the optics here, and I agree with him that's just that as a practical thing that would never happen. But without it, like, I like that. Then that's already said it would. But no, I wouldn't have done it with the first.
Yeah, I guess the other concern for the Suns is just, I mean, they've got that $20 million of Beal. Like, unless they're willing to go like way into being super expensive, they got to pay Mark Williams next year, and then also got to pay Gillespie. And you're taking out an extra 10 million of Ja in addition to that.
It's risky, no question.
No, I don't like. Yeah, ultimately, I think I'm going to say no on it as the Grizz. It was a great idea, Dan. I think I'm ultimately I just like got cold feet.
All right. Well,
honestly, it probably should have just done it, but
last attack. I don't know if it's out there. I mean, if Nick Richards would fetch a second rounder for somebody and that went to you, does that you don't have to take him and you get
that's
the pick?
enough. It's just Also, like it would look so bad if like Ja just starts killing it for Phoenix.
Yeah, but it also looks so bad for Phoenix if he destroys the chemistry they finally have going after chasing stars and it backfiring every time.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it seems ridiculous, how well he played just in like those 2 games when he was motivated coming back kind of made me think like, all right, now maybe he was doing that to try to get out of here or
it made me think the same.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, he's injured again. Like he's never going to play 7 consecutive games ever for the Grizz. No, it's that's a really good one though. I like that one a lot. Okay, let's talk about Trey Murphy. It seems like of all the players who might be, unless because it seems like he would be a higher target for maybe some teams that might be going after Michael Porter Jr. as well. New Orleans is willing to listen to some offers, but again, like you're just, 2 firsts is not going to get it done. I'll tell you that. Like it's really, I have to be able to go to ownership and be like, hey, this is like, he's a good player and a good contract right now, but I just couldn't say no to this offer. So you need to make me an offer that I can't say no to.
Does 2 firsts and Brandon Pajemski count as 2 firsts, or does it count as 2 firsts and something more?
No, I wouldn't. Brandon Pajemski is say he's not a Troy Weaver kind of player.
Do the Raptors have anyone who's the apple of Troy Weaver's eye here?
And we already lead the league in shots at the rim, so RJ Barrett driving into the basket as well could be
we were defaulting to him being in the deal, and Colin Murray Boyles accepted. But any of our young wings specifically we're wondering about.
And Jacoby Walter does have some appeal. But are you going 3 firsts here, Toronto?
Well, we're thinking
who's the big matching salary? Is it
Barrett?
It's Barrett and
first Barrett, and then we'd talk about one of those young wings.
So Barrett 1 first and Jacoby Walter. I think that's your best offer.
I mean, are we in the conversation here? Like, is that something you're willing to consider?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, what if it's first in 26 and 28, Walter and RJ Barrett?
Man, that's I mean, I think if I were running the Pelicans, I would probably say yes to that deal. But I don't think that Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver would. So I think ultimately I would have to say no on that. But that's a pretty good offer. I mean, is there anyone who can get me three
Pistons?
firsts?
Well,
Yeah.
Pistons here. We would like to talk to Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver, not the Nate Duncan running the franchise, but we do have Jay Ivey and Ron Holland.
Yeah. Well, Troy Weaver didn't draft Ron Holland, although he does kind of fit into the ethos of a
he might
Troy
have,
Weaver
if he were
player. What else can you throw in, Detroit?
Well, I think that
we value Holland at about the level of just a first.
Well, Ivy has some value too.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably more interested in Toronto just because Detroit's picks are looking a lot better.
I wasn't talking about picks necessarily.
With the players that I've drafted, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, if there's somebody on the roster that you think you still like, who we wouldn't love as much, we got Marcus Sasser. No, not Duren, not Asar, not Isaiah Stewart, not Cade, obviously. I guess I'm really talking about Marcus Sasser.
Yeah, I mean, but breaking the fourth wall here, I do think that Detroit might be, if you could trade Asar Thompson for Trey Murphy and that's something I would actually pretty seriously have to consider. But I just don't
too,
Asar. It's like how many minutes a game can he really play in the playoffs if he just can never shoot?
Yeah,
but I mean, I think your everything there is they want to be a lot lower risk. Like the idea of we broke up this team that was just starting to come into its own. That's maybe that would be a summer move when you find out what Asar Thompson wants in an extension. But yeah, I don't think they'll ever do that. But I do think that he's kind of rapidly becoming one of the more overrated players, in my opinion.
Asar or Murphy? Asar. You're saying Asar's overrated? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Murphy might be too, right? If he was that good
Murphy.
with the Pels, with the Pels be losing all these games the last few years. See if there's anything else that you could do for us, Toronto.
I mean, we'll take Jordan Hawkins back in this.
I'm just curious to try and match it. Are you viewing Barrett as positive New Orleans?
No, I wouldn't think so. He's
okay.
Could be an okay player, maybe someone we could rehabilitate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We do just need kind of generally more wings anyway, especially if we're going to move Trey Murphy.
I mean, if we did Ivy Holland in a first, and that I don't know exactly what your plans are if you move Murphy, but that would clear about $6 million off your payroll this year.
Ivy Holland, and what first would it be?
This year's.
Yeah, that's not as exciting. Although as it turns out, we don't actually have a first round pick this year. I don't know if
I think it was important to you guys to.
Where did that go? It was right here in my pocket. I just fall out when I sat down in my car. What happened?
I hate when that happens.
So this is really tough for me because I would probably take either of those deals. Maybe not the Detroit one. But I just, especially with the reporting out there, I just don't think they would, that Troy Weaver and Dumars would. So, yeah, I think we're Unless you could get another first in there, Toronto, I think we're probably
3 firsts in Jacoby Walter. I don't think we can get there. No. I mean, if it's like a second level of value on top of the 2 firsts, like, yes.
looking down the roster to see if there's anything else that
Jonathan Bobo?
really appeals. Yeah, he is actually a perfect Troy Weaver player. In Detroit, anything you could do to sweeten things up?
I mean, I felt like our offer was already ahead of Toronto's. Obviously, you don't agree.
Yeah, I guess Jaden Ivey, we don't really give him a ton of
Yeah, I mean, so we think he has some value getting his matching rights.
All right.
I'm a little conflicted to just a little bit because I've thought more about Michael Porter Jr. I'd rather have Trey Murphy III, and I don't want to end up making a bigger offer for Michael Porter Jr. than I did for Murphy. But I guess I was thinking it was going to take like 4 first rounders to get Murphy.
Yeah,
if we could
that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think let's table this, Toronto. Let's see if we can get Porter Jr. done. Toronto is just they've got so much out there.
We have a big table.
When is Canadian Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Not now.
And Toronto, like, could you? The issue I'm having with both Detroit and Toronto is just the lack of kind of that one upside pick.
Pick. I mean, but what's the difference between an upside pick and Ron Holland?
Yeah. No, and again, I think Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars are kind of more interested in players anyway. But at some point, even Troy Weaver has to acknowledge that you need shooting on your team, right? Yeah, again, if it were me, I would be taking this because I'm like, all right, we need to have a draft pick for next year as well. And getting someone like Ron Holland would just be, he's got some more upside. We need more defense on the wing. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a construction that includes Duncan Robinson, who we would need less if we're getting Murphy back. But maybe
I don't think that necessarily moves the needle too much for us at this point. Yeah, I mean, Toronto, could we get like an unprotected pick well out into the future?
So you're saying if we did 26 and say 30?
Yeah.
Could we like top 4 protect it?
This year's pick? Absolutely. Wait, hold on. Wait. Protection? What is protection? You could do that on a pick that you trade away?
If we top 4 protected it in 30 and 31, unprotected 32.
But hold on. Can we get back to this protection? Like, is that a new rule that came in just for this trade deadline? Because I never heard about that for last year's offseason around the draft.
I mean, I think that the Christian Wood pick was heavily protected, right? Or wasn't there something that Detroit got? I don't know. Maybe they traded immediately to draft Sadiq Bey. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be acceptable for us. It's just like going into 3 first-round picks.
I think we would want it to be unprotected in 2030.
We would probably ultimately do that.
So what is it right now? It's Barrett, Walter, and 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
One this year, 2030 unprotected.
Yeah, I mean, so Toronto's pick will probably be like 20th this year. Your Pistons will be 30th. And then I like Toronto.
30th. Wow, that's a bold prediction.
like 30th. It could be 29th. They're within 2 games. Okay, I mean, it'll probably be 29th.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, we're not making you take back RJ Barrett. I feel like that's getting discounted.
Whoa, we're not making anyone take back RJ Barrett.
I mean, like that's not that bad. Like he can help us next year, and he expires his expiring contract as well. We might even want to extend RJ Barrett. So that's actually not as terrible for us.
Also, sneaky benefit for New Orleans, the unlikely incentives count toward the apron, so you can stay farther away from the luxury tax line if you have him.
Yeah, between he and Jordan Poole, it would be basically impossible to go into the tax.
I mean, New Orleans, you're just $2 million of tax room. What does this do for that?
Well, let's work on the asset price first, and then we can deal with this.
If it's Hawkins and Barrett, they'd be $300K below the tax. They would actually exceed the first apron, so I need to double check. They're not. I mean, did Looney hard cap them at the first apron? I mean, then
they are hard capped at the first apron.
I mean, you can just dump.
Yeah. Looney did hard cap them.
I mean,
that would be hilarious.
We could send DeAndre Jordan or someone to a third team. I'm sure that's.
I mean, part of what we're offering is reducing your payroll by more than $6 million. You have this Brandon Ingram trade exception that's going to expire at basically the deadline. It could free you up to make other moves too. I don't know.
I would want you to improve your offer, Detroit. If you can't do that,
I just feel like our offer is already better. But
but I mean, we don't. Also, like there's a lot of scar tissue here. Like we already have gotten criticized a ton for making deals. But yeah, I think that Toronto offer, especially because we like Jacoby Walter pretty well, I think he could be a starting shooting guard for us. The kind of player that we need. So yeah, we'll do that deal, Toronto, if you can go 20-30 unprotected.
All right, an hour and a half into this podcast, we finally have a trade.
and so to be clear here, the terms are Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins going from the Pelicans to the Raptors, RJ Barrett, Jacoby Walter, the Raptors own 2026 first and own 2030 first.
Yes.
And if we did 2 first-round picks, we'd still be behind that as the Pistons with Ivy and Holland. Is that what you're saying?
Now you're doing that.
We had a deal. You were saying you don't want this. You were saying we were behind before when it was 1. He added a first-round pick, and so I'm saying if I added another first-round pick, we're still behind, right? When it was 1 pick and 1 pick, we were behind, and so if it's 2 picks and 2 picks, we're still behind. Is that correct?
Yeah, just because those Pistons picks, I just don't think they're going to be worth anything.
See, Detroit, you shouldn't have been so good this year. Then you could get out Trey Murphy.
We haven't had this problem in a long time.
Michael Porter Jr.
All right, this deal's done. This is as KP said, we're an hour and a half into this podcast. Great negotiating, everybody, to finally get one done. I mean, although I do anticipate that this deadline's going to kind of be like this.
I think it's realistic. Yes.
Yeah, I was really hoping you'd take the Morant trade for just because of the timing. All right,
I know, like Danny, it's hard. Maybe I should have just gotten more sleep last night because I'm sure I've been annoying all the viewers by like struggling on whether to take these deals or not.
No, I think it's been realistic. I mean, these are like we're more on the margins on some of these deals than we have been in a lot of other years, and I think that's kind of fun. Like, I think that's going to be what this is like, because these are circumstances for the Pelicans. You don't have to make a move now. You might you could just keep Trey Murphy for 2-3 years. So you have to decide this. It's not just we have to make a move. Michael Porter Jr. coming up. You have to decide, is this worth doing versus the future versus not doing a deal at all? And so I think that the deliberation is well founded.
All right, this should be a little more action packed. Nets here. Michael Porter Jr., our podcast partner, John Hollinger, has reported that we are very interested in moving him even now. And we think we can recoup some value later as we build up our team next year and we don't have our draft pick. So I told you what kind of our floor is, but I assume there are going to be a lot of people interested in Michael Porter Jr. at this point, especially because, again, now you'll have to pay us to do this, but we can offer a lot of salary relief for teams in addition to taking on Porter Jr.
Yeah, Pistons here, we're not necessarily looking for the salary relief, and so this would just free you to do that separately. But we'd be offering Jaden Ivey, our first-round pick this year, Duncan Robinson, who we do think has value for you to flip, positive value, and Paul Reed for matching salary for Porter.
All right, so that is Duncan Robinson, Jaden Ivey, a first, and Paul Reed as well. Paul Reed actually is someone we might be semi-interested in. Okay, that's probably a deal that we would do, but I want to see what else is out there for him that would be better than that.
Warriors here, we're wondering, this is more of the exploratory thing. We Jimmy Butler's now hurt for the year. We still like Jimmy Butler. We would do that, but in terms of this deal, if it's Jimmy Butler for Michael Porter Jr., would you be asking us for like a first or two in addition to that, or is it getting a guy who makes you worse this year and better next year? Does that just align well enough that you're happy with it? And we could actually structure this in a couple different ways. You could do this after you use your cap space. We'd have to throw in a little bit more to make the money work that way, or you could just do it, as that's your move to use your cap space. We just want to know what your temperature was on that.
Yeah, it does. It would give Golden State a lot of savings, number one. I mean, certainly we would require a significant asset to do that with Jimmy Butler. Unlikely to play. The chance of flipping him next year seems pretty low. Maybe it ends up being a buyout, but he makes way more than Porter Jr. We do want to use cap space next off season. So a deal that goes into next year, you're really going to have to pay us to reduce our cap space by like 15 million relative to where Porter Jr. would be. You're first this year unprotected and maybe one other a young player and like Pajemski. I think we would do it for that.
Okay, that's interesting. First this year, Pajemski. It would be hard to get our veterans on board with that because the idea of trading Jimmy Butler while he's hurt, but it would make us better for this year and potentially for next year too. And Porter Jr.'s increased on-ball ability could be useful for us now that we're having to weather, without Jimmy Butler, we need a non-Curry guy. So how about if we top 4 protect that pick?
No, that's basically the idea is that something crazy could happen.
Okay.
That's just really is more than we want to take on in an ideal conception.
Mm-hmm.
Because just a 56 million in dead salary for next year, that's a tough pill to swallow.
So theoretically, if we were able to get close enough to the matching salary, because we could theoretically, Jonathan Kuminga makes meaningfully less than Michael Porter Jr. does. If we could get there with that kind of thing, would you then be more interested? Because we thought Butler would be something that would excite you because he's not playing this year, and so you could do that, but he could help you next year. But if that's a negative for you, we could do something involving, like Jonathan Kuminga. Buddy Hield only has $3 million guaranteed for next year. We could get pretty close with things like that. And you mentioned an interest in Pajemski. So like we're almost all the way there in terms of that. If you're more interested in that, then we could do a structure in that realm.
So it would be basically Kuminga, Hield, and Pajemski. And Golden State's hard up against the second apron.
Yeah.
So you're talking, so we would still be getting the same assets, but just doing it with we'd get Kuminga, Hield, and so that doesn't quite get us there. We got to get up to 38 million.
Got to get up to 38. I mean, we'd potentially we'd prefer not to do Moses Moody in the deal.
Kind of has to be, I think. I don't really
gets
know
close, but we'd probably want something back either from you, or if you were rerouting Moody to a third team, we could potentially do something there.
Yeah, Moody is someone that we might have some interest in, just to hold on to him.
But I think if Moody were involved, we probably wouldn't want that first round pick because then we're giving you a really good player.
Well, we could probably get, I don't know how great Moody is, but we could give you a second for Moses Moody.
Do you want to kind of we're kind of, I think we're getting to a framework that we're happy with, Joe? Like it's a big bill to pay for 2 years, but Michael Porter Jr. being off the books in 2 years is potentially interesting. Oh, and Jonathan Kuminga has a trade bonus.
He might be willing to waive that. I mean, that doesn't help in terms of the salary
matching.
Yeah. At least from your standpoint. Yeah, I mean, I think, the roster spots would get a little bit harder for us. I mean, we could probably, we'll see if we have a move for Haywood Highsmith. If there's a team that just wants to take, we could probably figure that out. We could waive Jalen Wilson and Tyrese Martin and just re-sign them if we needed to. Although I guess we wouldn't waive any of the guys we're taking on. So yeah, those guys would probably be gone. Then I think we're okay with that.
No, I'd rather do this. Because I also have the Heat, and I've been thinking about a Kuminga for Wiggins deal, but I'd rather do this as the Warriors.
And Pistons, you want to improve your offer at all?
So I'm trailing now.
Yeah, that Warriors unprotected first this year is way better than anything that you're including.
I mean, one construction we could do is maybe Ron Holland instead of the first round pick. That'd be and I think we'd take Paul Reed out. I think it would still work matching wise.
So it's Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland
with no picks.
No first.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if we had to do that to get back ahead.
Yeah, I do like that. I think I like Ron Holland better than that Warriors pick.
Yeah.
And the
no,
money
we really didn't want to
better.
include him, but Porter is such a good fit because he can be the shooter we need and the additional playmaking we need. He can fill, he's shown he can fill multiple roles. Not necessarily one on a good team, one on a bad team, but yeah, the fit just seems too good. Holland hasn't quite shown quite enough that we feel like we absolutely have to keep him. I understand we got to give up something. Just curious. I'm not sure what we would value more if you have a strong opinion between this offer with Holland or 2 firsts.
Like, is it Holland or 2 Detroit first? Like, what's a better offer?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty close to us.
Probably Holland again, just because I foresee Detroit being, those picks will be in the 20s.
Okay. So yeah, I guess we would do Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland, and Ivy. We would do that. We don't feel as good about it as our first offer, but we would do it.
Yeah. I mean, Kuminga has some interest in him as Brooklyn, although Brooklyn historically hasn't seemed to be too interested in Jonathan Kuminga.
And just a reminder, if you're trying to get Kuminga's value, a sense of it, the Warriors GM just told you that nobody wants him.
But he is he is a pure expiring contract. So even if you don't want him,
if he's just an expiring contract, okay. If you don't think you're gonna get anything,
I mean, Duncan Robinson could be as well, right? So that's
but Duncan Robinson can play. Yeah. He's contributing to a good team. I think he has value. I wish there were a way for us to keep him and do this trade.
KP, any of your teams interested in Porter Jr.?
Toronto was the team, so
yeah, and they just got Trey Murphy.
Yep.
Excuse me. Let's do that Detroit deal.
All right, so we got Duncan Robinson, Jaden Ivey, and Ron Holland for Michael Porter Jr. No picks.
Yeah, I mean, I value Holland more than that Golden State pick. And the Golden State pick, if it were unprotected, it's Golden State already has 26 wins. I mean, yeah, if Steph Curry got struck by lightning tomorrow, you could see Golden State kind of falling off and, ending up with 35 wins. And then maybe they're in the lottery, and then maybe there's a chance it gets into the top 4, and then it's worth more than Holland. But that's a 3% chance of that outcome happening. So I think I would rather, I think Ron Holland is someone, he could maybe be our starting small forward next year as we're trying to take a step forward, but he also is a young player. So yeah, I think that's very good value for it. Your mileage on Ron Holland may vary. I've always been higher on him than some. So that's be interested to see what the, you got any thoughts on this one, KP? Did I make the right decision between those 2 offers?
The Warriors offer is very interesting. Like the idea of Jimmy Butler, particularly is Brooklyn tries to make this pivot, like, what other guys want to play with Jimmy Butler? I mean, I do think, like, we've been in the honeymoon. We were in the honeymoon Jimmy Butler year in Golden State. Next year would be the I'm due for an extension year, or in the last year of my
well,
contract.
he cannot be extended until the middle of next season. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But he can agitate for an extension before he can technically be extended. So
he would never, Kevin. He would never.
It's a fascinating offer. I think taking Holland over the 2 firsts is the right play.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I don't know that either of these teams would make this offer, actually. I mean, I think Detroit is still probably pretty enamored of Holland, but
yeah. I think they'd be more likely to send out their picks. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but 2 picks would I still would have been trailing the Warriors.
Right.
That's how I took So.
Would either of you? I think would either of you offered more as the Warriors? I think Porter Jr. is an unusually good fit, but also he's not a perfect fit.
I mean, part of what I liked about the fit with him with the Warriors was him playing with Jimmy Butler III. So I just don't know how aggressive I'd be with the Warriors for anything, because, like, does this really make you a championship contender at this point? Like, probably not.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't think so. All right, so New Orleans has already traded Trey Murphy. We're probably not interested in moving Herb Jones now. We need to hold on to him. Let's see who else is out there. Are the Lakers and LeBron's Rich Paul here? Lakers aren't too interested in keeping me on. Are there any teams that would like to bring me in that would give me a max contract for next year, where maybe we should have a conversation with the Lakers? Golden State?
We might be interested in signing you, but it might be within the constraints that we happen to have during the offseason rather than trading for you right now. And the Lakers would not be interested in Jimmy Butler because of the long-term build around Luka.
Yeah, presumably we'd have to get a third team involved there who could send expiring money and be willing to take Butler for next year. And the Nets don't really have
the Nets just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I certainly understand that like Jimmy would have to be the matching salary there. But words, would you be willing to trade for me and then give me a max contract for next year?
No, we would be willing to sign you to something that we could sign you to next summer, meaning like a smaller contract.
You have no way of getting me next year, so.
Mm-hmm. But we would, if you wanted to play with Steph Curry, you can do so. It's just a choice you need to make.
Cavaliers?
Because we are so deep into the second apron, we would have to the matching salary. Because remember, we can't aggregate salary. So
yeah, there's no way we could do it this year. You're right.
Yeah, and so again, if you want to come back and sign for the minimum, you could do that next year. We'd love to have you.
Yeah,
you might win a championship.
Miami.
Oh, we're going back to all the former Hawks. We wouldn't give you a max contract next year. I mean, we still have young players.
Not even for 1 year. What else are you doing with your money next year? I'm surprised the Warriors feel the same way. Why would? What else are they gonna? They're gonna get someone better than LeBron James for next year. And also, just imagine all those, all that money that's gonna flow into Joe Lacob's coffers with LeBron James and Steph Curry on the same team.
Yeah, but they have to give up Jimmy Butler to do it. I mean, it's not like it's free.
But he's not playing.
He's not playing for now.
It is like it's better than free. You're getting rid of something negative. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I think it'd be hard to come up with a construction anyway, that the Lakers would accept.
Yeah, that was my original beef with it. Was actually on the Lakers side, not on the Warriors side.
Yeah, but I mean, step one is just LeBron has a no trade clause, so he would, if this were ever going to happen, it would have to be him finding a team where he wants to go, and then maybe try to work it out after that. But it doesn't even seem like there's a team that's like so excited to pay LeBron for next year if you could trade for him now and get his bird rights. So
Miami is kind
Spurs. Hello.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, hey. Yeah, you guys got a lot of clutch clients there. De'Aaron Fox seems very happy there. What's going on, Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're interested in waiving your no trade clause to come. We're certainly not pledging a max contract this summer. We would like to re-sign you. We'd like to have you for the rest of this season. We could put something together with Keldon Johnson as the outgoing asset, and then we have some expiring contracts with Kelly Olynyk, Jeremy Sohan, Jordan McLaughlin, Lindy Waters III that would get us there in terms of matching salary. Obviously, roster spots are an issue. All those players don't have to end up in Los Angeles. We'd kind of put that on the Lakers, but this would mainly be Keldon Johnson for LeBron and a flyer on Sohan, plus the other expiring contracts.
Well, so yeah, I mean, Keldon. I don't think the Lakers want Keldon Johnson 17.5 for next year. I guess Spurs, if you're not even willing to say that you'd give me a max contract for next year, which you could, right? Like
we're not ruling it out. We're just not going to commit to that right now.
Yeah, it's not how LeBron James does business, I'm afraid. You'd have to say you would do it.
Well, it's a new reality where I'm not sure there's anybody who's going to say that. So, but if you're not going to come here without a promise of a max for the next year, we're not going to go that far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I tear my ACL or something, that's a different story. But as long as I'm actually healthy enough to play, or project to be healthy enough to play at the start of the season, yeah, I mean, then the question becomes, why would LA do that? And so you have to give up something as well. But I mean, a big part of it would be getting my bird rights here. I mean, so it would be Barnes, Johnson, and Olynyk would have to be that would get you closer.
No Barnes.
Well, then how are you going to match salaries? He makes like $50 million.
So Keldon Johnson, Olynyk, Sohan, and McLaughlin and Waters, I believe, gets us there.
Oh yeah, just to be it would save the Lakers some money this year. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to. I'll think about it, but Spurs and Lakers, can you guys come up with a deal?
I mean, Keldon Johnson's not. I think he's a fine player, and
so the Lakers' concern, we're interested in Keldon Johnson. We think that having a capable forward would be good for us, but we have these cap space aspirations for 2026, and so what we need is. I think we need to be able to either be confident that we could flip Keldon Johnson if we need to in 2026, or it doesn't have to, it could be more an asset that looks flashier than it actually is. That might be a nice way to do this. Cause remember, we're trading LeBron James here. Like we're doing something. So it could be kind of more in the realm of a fake first, but something where we're getting a pick back that even if it's unlikely to convey or unlikely to be, it could be a swap or something in that realm. Like, we get a swap with you as opposed to the swaps that you have with everyone else. But
we could do a pretty fake first, like an actually fake first we could do.
I mean, would the Lakers really do that though? Is that because they are still trying to win games this year? They might end up with nothing better to do than re-sign LeBron in the offseason. Do they really?
Well, so what I'm thinking about here is the idea of getting more kind of depth, play. I would actually, if we can get some of our players to go out and kind of in the deal, like maybe we could include Don Connect, some other stuff. We could get some actual rotation players who could help us, like Jeremy Sohan. I mean, we'd be interested in Harrison Barnes in the deal, but the Spurs don't. But I think if this were the deal, the Lakers probably wouldn't accept it. This is just not quite what they would do. I'm interested, me, Danny Leroux, but I think the Lakers would.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's put it in the ball. KP, anyone that your teams are interested in making an offer for?
Well, let me take a look here. I feel like Celtics here. We've got the Anfernee Simons expiring contract. We'd like to call up the Hawks to talk about Onyeka Okongwu.
Yes.
So a construction built around Simons for Okongwu and Kennard. What pick value are you looking at making up that difference?
And if we trade you Okongwu, we're going to basically need to replace him.
Which I think you could do in the short term,
So how much money does this add to us for this year?
It's close to a salary wash. It's about like
Mm.
1.4 million, I think, off the top of my head.
Okay. So
Yeah, Nets here, we
Congo-
would gladly help facilitate this by taking on Luke Kennard for some assets.
Yeah, obviously we don't need Kennard and Kispert. I mean, to that degree, we don't necessarily need Simons and McCollum. Although,
That's,
you know,
I mean, I think this is going to be a theme of the deadline. There's a lot of like, let's figure out the value and then we can reroute the players later.
right. Let's see. So Simons is expiring at 28 million, almost 28 million. Kongwu is 15 million. He's got a nice, 16 million and almost 17 million the next couple of years. So it's nice to have that cost controlled asset. You know, if we're getting a first,
yeah,
an action. I mean, but what do you have, right? Because your picks are going to be low even this year.
So we could
you're picking pretty
do
low.
26 or 27, or we could do 2031.
Can you do 2031 because your 2032 is frozen?
My understanding is that would not affect the ability to trade 31 because you would still have a pick in either year. It just would go to the end of the round potentially.
Well, would that mean
realistically
you couldn't? Oh, right. Okay, because you would never lose the pick. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, you're going to be
Admittedly,
good.
I have probably peered into the weeds of the CBA to confirm that interpretation.
Yeah. No, that's 100% true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It wouldn't be the case.
So you're going to be good this year. You're good this year. You're going to be good next year. You're probably going to be good in 2031. But I do like the upside of you never know what's going to happen in 2031.
Out there.
Right. Yeah, but look at you guys. That is an interesting offer.
We've also got some, we've got some pretty good seconds we could throw in.
Yeah. What are your good seconds?
Well, we have Milwaukee this year.
Okay. If you did that with 2 good seconds, I think we would have to do it. I mean, we're not as good this year as we hoped we'd be. A Kongwu is good and we like having him, but if we can, I don't know. I guess the fact that you're coming, part of me concerns me, and this is maybe more realistic than something in the mock trade deadline, but if you're coming to me with this offer, that tells me something about where Simon's value is, where in this exercise, I feel like, maybe we could flip him and get something reasonable-ish, something. I felt like,
I haven't done any calls on Simon. It's just
right.
This is a matter of sort of recasting our roster, and Okongwu, we think, is like he's a long-term piece for us in a way that Simons is not.
Right. Yeah,
Jazz here. We might be able to take Simon. Well, no, I guess not, because we're using cap space next offseason. Never mind. I was going to say we could trade you Yusuf Nurkic, Hawks, if you need a center and take Simons.
No, that was part of my thought. But Simons
we would want to get something for that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it just puts us in a position where, like, what is the rest of this season for us? Like, is it too late to tear down too much? And without a Kongwu, what are we going to do?
I mean, you don't even have your pick this year anyway.
Right.
Like you're
that, right. And so, we're worse, but maybe we're still making the play in. Like maybe we're just in the play in regardless. Because we're 10th right now. The Bucks are behind us. Giannis is hurt. They're 3 back. I mean, Charlotte's surging. Maybe we lose our play-in spot. Without a pick, we'd rather make the play-in. Well, and, maybe we even fight our way into the playoffs, and that's going to be impossible. It is a very intriguing offer.
What if you send us a second and we make it our first this year, and then maybe we'd put minimal protection on the 2031 pick?
Oh, no. So the main intrigue was like, hey, this is a lottery ticket. With protection, I think we're out.
Even if you got a first this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're leaning toward no already. Though,
Well, well, I was hoping that adding a second first would make the pick more.
well, right,
attractive.
and so we give up a second, so maybe that would swing it. So if it's an unprotected 2031, the first this year, and we give you a second, then that might make us from lean no to lean yes. Let's see. So what do we have for seconds?
Some pretty distant ones, your own, and you have the better of Houston in 2000. Yours in Houston in 2031. Could we do that one?
Oh, I was just looking at so this year we have. Oh, that's a first.
You have essentially, it looks like our picks, our second round, which does not have much value.
Yeah, I mean, we could do the 2029 Cleveland second.
I mean, 2 firsts is a lot to give up here, especially with one of them, being unprotected and having that risk in 31. But we really do think like Okongwu is the perfect fit alongside this core, both in terms of contract and play style. So I think,
I mean, maybe you could work it out with there's like, a Vic Krejci or something, like some guy.
I think he's about to say
Atlanta's
yes.
trying to compete this year.
I think he's about to say yes. He was talking his way to say yes, and now you're prodding him to ask for more.
The more important thing for us is what we can flip Kennard for in terms of savings and getting another guard in here.
Nets here.
Pistons here too.
Yeah, I mean, we would take on Kennard for a second.
Oh, and the Pistons traded Duncan Robinson.
I'm not too worried about it's more the question of like, we need someone to replace Simon's spot in the rotation out of this trade too. So we need to figure out that piece of it.
How about Jason Tatum?
I mean, yes, which is part of the reason we're making this deal. But I think you would still want one more guard because the Drew Holiday spot from last year's team is going to still be empty in that scenario. But yeah, we'd do this.
All right, let's do it.
Oof.
The Hawks are open for business now.
Can we repeat the terms of this, please?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's Anfernee Simons 2026 first, 2031 first for Onyeka Okongwu, Luke Kennard, and 2029 Cleveland second. Peanut Gallery?
I think for me, I would have wanted like as I broke in a little bit too early on. I would have wanted just one more rotation piece back. Because Kennard, I mean, a big part of the appeal of doing this for Boston would be getting very close to out of the tax.
I think we're still going to do that. I don't think Krejci is. I mean, Krejci is useful, but
right. But I'm saying like because you're going to dump Kennard to get out of the tax, and so Krejci would be another rotation guy that you could throw in.
Yeah.
So that I think, or maybe have Atlanta kick in something else as the cost of getting off of Kennard. Because really, and I think, because Boston also wants to move Tillman and Boucher. So Kennard, Tillman, Boucher.
I mean, at some point, that's more salary than we need to move, right?
Yeah, maybe that's right. So if you move Kennard now, you're out, Boston. Is that right? Because
Kennard alone would do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Hauser alone would do it. Pistons here, just saying.
We appreciate your interest.
You already got Porter Jr.
We would take Hauser.
Your interest has been registered and is appreciated.
Yeah, the top 2 seeds in the East trading with each other. That would be something.
I mean, what I really like about this deal from Boston's perspective is it's identifying a need ahead of time, where Onyeka Okongwu makes a lot of sense on the 26-27 Celtics and you get him early. And the Celtics are gonna, in some ways, they're more flexible now than they will be later. So to do that, but the challenge for me with the Hawks, it's true that they're in this place. It's just like, as Dan put it in the negotiations, is you're gonna have to find somebody else like that, because if Jalen Johnson is your centerpiece, you're going to need a center who can shoot. And a center who can shoot, I mean, I have my qualms with Okongwu defensively, but they're not the easiest thing to find. And so you could say the Hawks have more time because they're getting the pucks pick and all these other things, but it creates a hole that needs to be filled that isn't the easiest to fill.
Yeah, I like the idea from Atlanta's standpoint of just say we're like we got the pucks pick. We got another good pick coming with the lower of Milwaukee and New Orleans next year. And so, we're just in much more of a building phase right now. And so if we can pick up some more assets, and then when we're really ready, that we can use some of those to trade for something. We don't know, who are we getting in the draft? Are we getting Cam Boozer? Are we getting, none of these awesome guys? Are we getting Debanza? I think taking something that you can flip more easily going forward. Like I see what you're saying, Danny. I think this is probably just too good of a package to say no to for Okongwu. All right, well, that will do it for the part 1 of the 2026 mock trade deadline. And of course, if you want to listen to part 2 and every episode of Dunked on Prime, every episode of Hollinger and Duncan, get all of our analysis, every trade that happens between now and the deadline, you can use the code MOCKDeadline26. That's MOCKDeadline26. Link to that is in the show notes and the description on YouTube. And we'd love to have you as part of our awesome ecosystem here on Dunked on Prime. Talk to y'all next time.